Many leaders leave meetings with answers. They've reviewed the options, they've aligned on the recommendation, and they've documented the decision. Yet, the confidence that the decision will actually hold, that it will carry through the system, feels increasingly fragile. If you notice that answers no longer bring relief, even when they're good answers, you're not alone. And that fatigue is not about effort, it's about something deeper. When decisions don't land, the default response is predictable. Many leaders assume that the answer wasn't clear enough, or that recommendation needs more refinement, or we just need to explain it better. So the work becomes more analysis, more articulation, more precision. But here's the quiet problem with that: answers don't resolve competing priorities, authority ambiguity, accountability gaps, and they never have. The misdiagnosis is this: leaders assume decision failure is an answer quality issue when it is often a judgment structure issue. You see this pattern clearly once you know what to look for. Decisions that technically exist but don't fully move behavior. Teams that agree but don't commit. Initiatives that are approved but quietly deprioritized. The answer is present, the decision is recorded, but direction doesn't stabilize. What leaders experience as resistance or disengagement is often something else entirely. It's a signal that judgment was never fully held in the first place. So here's the distinction most organizations miss. Answers are content. They describe what should happen. Judgment in context. It established why, who, and at what cost. When judgment isn't clearly exercised, answers feel provisional, authority feels personal, and accountability becomes political. And organizations become very good at producing answers and surprisingly unreliable at producing direction. Not because leaders lack capability, but because judgment isn't structurally supported. Now, if you've been following this series, you'll notice that over the past few weeks, we've been circling the same issue, but from different angles. Judgment quietly becomes a constraint. Expertise begins to interfere with perception, and decisions are deferred in the name of prudence. And now we see the consequence. Better answers don't resolve the problem because the problem isn't informational, it's architectural. In many organizations, judgment exists, but it isn't legitimized. People sense risk, they notice misalignment, they see where decisions are thinning. But without clear authority, institutional permission, shared interpretive language, the judgment stays private. And private judgment doesn't scale. So organizations default to what does scale: more answers, more frameworks, and more recommendations, even when those answers don't carry weight. This is why leadership feels heavier now than it used to. Not because leaders are weaker, but because they are being asked to carry judgment more personally, compensate for structural ambiguity, and stabilize systems without institutional support. And over time, this creates decision fatigue, erosion of trust, and quiet disengagement at the edges, all while performance metrics still look acceptable. And at a certain point, producing better answers becomes a form of avoidance. Not intentional avoidance, but structural avoidance. Because answers feel productive, while judgment requires examining how authority, legitimacy, and accountability actually function. And most systems aren't designed to do that work openly. So the question leaders need to sit with isn't how do we get better answers? Instead, the question is how is judgment produced, protected, and legitimized inside of our institution? Because when judgment lacks legitimacy, even the best answers fail to hold. And that's where the real work begins.